going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my wide receiver rankings for the 2021 NFL Draft. Tight ends coming next. So let's hop into it. Starting off with our number one receiver. To me, it's pretty easy. It's Ja'Marr Chase. I think his game really reminds me of Amari Cooper a lot. He definitely has the best contested catch ability in this draft class. If you look at him play, his routes are already really great. He has really nice speed. That was one kind of thing people were questioning him, was his speed, but he showed he does have the ability to play with that speed. He's just got to actually play with it now. But, this guy, there's really nothing to nab him on. The one thing you can kind of get him for is that it has been a year since he's played. And maybe his production was just a product of Joe Burrow, but I don't think that's the case. He was the best receiver in college football a couple years ago, and to me, he's easily the number one receiver in this class. Then number two, we have Jaylen Waddle, who reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson. There was another guy, obviously, in Tyreek Hill that I have another player in mind that fits Tyreek Hill a bit better than Waddle. Waddle's strong suit is obviously his speed. However, the one thing people always look at speed receivers is, are they just the next John Ross? Are they just, kind of the next Henry Ruggs now, although it's only his second year? Jaylen Waddle is definitely not just his speed. He has good deep field. He's not just a speed guy. He is a good deep threat receiver all around. His routes are actually really polished as well. And he's very, very physical and just a tough-minded person. At times, he is not the best route runner, but all around, still a very solid receiver. He's my number two pretty easily, and in most classes would be your number one, if not for guys like Ja'Marr Chase. Then at number three, we have DeVonta Smith, and I think this is a guy that people need to kind of start cooling down on a bit. Yes, he just won the Heisman Trophy. I get that, but beyond a slot, a screen receiver, what is he really going to bring to the NFL? His size is a big concern at this point. I mean, he was playing at 160, might have even been 150 last year. That is scary. That's way too light, and this guy's going to get hurt if he keeps that same weight in that same frame. He's going to be often injured, which means he'll probably drop a bit in the draft. And, there is upside to him for sure. I mean, he was a great receiver for the most part. He's still a great route runner, has nice speed to him. He could be the next Antonio Brown because, Antonio Brown, he was selected very late because of his size and certain concerns. But, DeVonta Smith could be the next Antonio Brown, or he could just be an injury-prone slot receiver. So it's kind of weird for DeVonta Smith. I think people need to stop having him. Their number two I can maybe see, but their number one especially, he is not better than Ja'Marr Chase. It's not even close for me. And I definitely wouldn't say he's better than Jaylen Waddle. He could be the next Antonio Brown, but the size is just really concerning because even Antonio Brown could take a hit. But DeVonta Smith, I don't know, man. You're not going to always be able to avoid contact. So DeVonta Smith here at number three. It reminds me a lot of Marquise Brown, aside from Antonio Brown as well. Then at number four, we have Rashod Bateman, who I get a lot of strong Mohamed Sanu vibes from him. However, I do think Rashod Bateman is much better than Mohamed Sanu. He's definitely a better actual receiver as when it comes to routes and stuff. Where Rashod Bateman really shines is his athleticism, though. This dude is fast. He is quick. He's going to make you miss. I mean, he'll jump higher than you. I mean, his athleticism is crazy. If you really actually look at his game, once again, there's really only one little thing you can nab him on, and that's just, some more than occasional drops there at Minnesota, but that may just be Tanner Morgan because Tanner Morgan is not a good quarterback. So that could just be what it is. Rashod Bateman is one of those guys where he could be your number one receiver, or he could just be depth for you. Kind of like Marquise Brown in a way, not talent-wise, but the way that he's been supposed to have been the number one receiver, but he's not looking terribly good, so he could just end up as depth. I do like Rashod Bateman, though. Athletically, he's freaky. His size might hold him back a little bit from being that true deep field guy, but super athletic and really good receiver. Then at number five, we have Kadarius Toney. Deebo Samuel, I think, is a great comparison because Kadarius Toney is maybe the most elusive player in this entire class. I mean, if there's an expert at making a guy miss, it's Kadarius Toney. I think he'll go somewhere around the early second round, probably. I don't think he'll ever be that number one receiver just because he doesn't have that deep field catchability. He's not going to like change a game for you, but as a number two guy, he might be the best number two receiver in football. You know, his speed more comes from his burst. He doesn't necessarily have like elite straight line speed such as a Jaylen Waddle. However, when it comes to his burst and his acceleration, nobody even is close to him. Even Jaylen Waddle, I would say, is a level behind him. And at worst, I think he's probably just good slot depth because you can put him in the slot pretty well. So yeah, Kadarius Toney, a guy that could be a very, very good number two option in the NFL, but probably will never be that number one option, and that's why people dropped him a little bit. But I do really like Kadarius Toney. Then at number 6, we have Rondale Moore out of Purdue. His game reminds me a lot of Sterling Shepard in a way. The way that he creates separation is very, very nice, and I would actually say he's already better at separating than most receivers in the NFL, which of course is, why wouldn't you take that? The one concern with him is that his size is very unfavorable, and, there are certain guys that are smaller, but don't necessarily always show it. This guy shows it. He is definitely not the most physical person. If a good press corner's on him, kind of got to count him out for that game. If he's ever matched on, say, Jalen Ramsey, he's pretty much done unless he stops just giving up after the press. Another guy that, can be that really solid number 2 slot option or could just be a bust. As a slot player, he's maybe the best slot receiver in the class. Very speedy as well. And he, like I said, great at creating separation. The size is just a bit of a concern right now, but I still do like Rondale Moore. And if he's used as a number 2, number 3 slot option, he'll excel, I'm pretty sure. Then at number 7, we have Elijah Moore, a guy that I think a lot of people are higher on than I am, for sure. When it comes to a slot receiver, I just said Rondale Moore is maybe the best slot receiver. No, I'm sorry. Elijah Moore is the best slot receiver in the class. In fact, I think his floor is a slot monster. Even if he doesn't ever make it as that number 1 receiver, he will at the very least be one of the better slot receivers in football. To me, he's like a shorter Tyler Boyd, who, I think Tyler Boyd's probably the best slot receiver in the NFL. So he's really just like a shorter Tyler Boyd. Really quick as well. So he fits scheme. He fits the slot just really well. And the crazy thing about Elijah Moore is, while at worst he'll be a slot monster, he could have that number 1 receiver potential. He could be the best receiver on your team, and not just because your receivers suck. The one reason I have him down here at number 7, I'm giving him all this praise and stuff. The reason he's down here at number 7 is because I think he's very scheme dependent. I think what Ole Miss ran was exactly what he needed to thrive. So I feel like a team kind of has to run something similar to Ole Miss and use the slot receiver pretty prominently for Elijah Moore to be that impactful. So really it depends on the team, because if he goes to the right team, he could be the second or third best receiver in this class. But if he goes to the wrong fitting team, he could be a bust pretty easily. Or not necessarily a bust, because like I said, regardless, he'll be a good slot player. He just might not make that same impact. But I do like Elijah Moore, not as much as others, but I still do like him. Then at number 8, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown. The hype's died off of him a bit. A lot of people had him in the first round. To me, he's like a taller Tyler Lockett. Another guy that, where he really thrives is his speed. And, he is not like Kadarius Toney, where it's just excel. He is just an all-around quick, excel, burst, deep threat receiver, which is great. Where the problems come in with Amon-Ra St. Brown is that that's kind of all he does. So in that case, I don't feel like it's like a John Ross situation where it's just speed. He can still run routes fine. He's a pretty decent route runner, actually. But another kind of weird thing about it is that his size, he's not the smallest guy. I'm pretty sure he's like 6'1", 220 pounds maybe. He's not a small guy, but he is not very physical at all. And it kind of looks more like it comes from his size rather than just the fact that he's not a physical player, which is kind of weird. you can just see he just avoids contact, and maybe that's just because he has a bit of a thinner frame. Overall, though, I still do like Amon-Ra. Again, another guy that he's never going to be your number one receiver. And at worst, I feel like he'll just be good, speedy depth. But I still do like Amon-Ra. I still like the potential in him, and if he can just get a bit more physical, he could rise these rankings pretty easily. So. Then at number 9, we have Wayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. I think McCole Hardman is just a fantastic comparison for him. I think he's going to go somewhere mid-late second round. This guy got a ton of hype after the Pro Day or after the Senior Bowl, and the Pro Day just helped that because this guy is very athletic, but where he really strikes is his speed. Now, he doesn't have Kadarius, Toney, Jaylen Waddle type speed, but he is still a very quick receiver. And this is a guy that, I say his ceiling is number 2, but don't be surprised if someday this guy does turn out to be a number 1. Kind of like Amon-Ra, at worst, he's probably speedy depth, but another guy that can go into the slot and be a very good slot receiver. But where he also lacks is his physicality, which is why I ultimately don't think he'll ever be a number 1 receiver. But yeah, I could very easily see a world where, again, this guy could be the number 2 or 3 receiver out of this class, just if the right team and if he figures a few things out. I do really like Wayne Eskridge, but I think just his physicality is going to prevent him from ever being that elite receiver, but he can still be a very solid number 2, number 3 option. And then with our last receiver of the video, we have Tylan Wallace. Now, it was kind of tough deciding here between Tylan Wallace, Dyami Brown, and Jalen Darden here for me, but I ultimately went with Tylan Wallace, and here's why. This is the player that I'm comparing to Tyreek Hill in the terms of, if you look at this guy play, besides his physicality, because he is a smaller guy, there is nothing bad about this guy. He has very crisp routes. He is a very good speedy threat. His hands are very good. He has the potential to be one of the best receivers in the NFL, sort of like Tyreek Hill, while at the same time, very easily could be a bust. And that really just depends on his physicality. Players like Tyreek Hill and John Ross. John Ross didn't make it because, injury is part of it, but because he never really learned that sense of being a number 1 receiver beyond just the speed. Tyreek Hill did. And I see a lot of Tyreek Hill in Tylan Wallace. He's down here at number 10 because he is super, super boom or bust. But again, given the right scheme, and if he figures out that physicality, that sense of being the number 1 receiver, this guy could be one of the best receivers in football at that Tyreek Hill level. And that's why I have him here at number 10 above a few other guys. But that was the video. If you liked it, let me know what you thought down below. Give me your wide receiver rankings. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, comment, leave a like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Tight end's next, so be here first in line for that. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.